Well, hello, everybody.
Hi, everybody.
Hi.
We are so glad you joined us today. And, you know, we have got Brian caught in the middle.
Absolutely.
He is right here, stuck
Pray for
between
me.
us. He said, yeah. So we're excited. He's got, I know you've heard him. You've heard some of his testimony, but there's so much that he has not shared that, you know what, it's going to inspire you and touch your heart today, and just to see the transformation. And so we're ready to get started. So the name of our devotion today is called
Caught in the middle.
That's right.
Literally.
He's caught in the middle. And so we told him, you know, you got to set close because we got to get everybody in this shot.
Yes.
And I'll have to tell you, right, we had a little bit of clothing crisis.
Oh, we did.
Jasmine and I. So as you know, sometimes you'll see Jasmine and I dressed similar because, you know, I'm all about putting an outfit together. And
Oh, yeah.
I get a lot of our clothes from Goodwill and Ross and thrift stores. And so I got these two tops, these little hoodies, at Goodwill. They were brand new.
Yeah,
and
the tags are still on them.
yeah, but here's the deal. I didn't try them on until today, and we feel like two bodybuilders.
We are not.
They're like extremely tight. So we both feel like we are caught in the middle of this shirt, and we can't wait to get it off. But anyway, so caught in the middle is this. It's when two people, how about this? Okay, if you're caught in the middle, two people that you care about, they're in a disagreement or an argument or something heated.
Hard.
Yes,
Yeah.
and you're expected, you know, you're caught in the middle and you're expected to support both of them. And that's tough. So
That is.
also it's like this, you know, what happens when you're sandwiched in?
Yeah, when you're sandwiched in and you feel like you can't get out, and you can't get out without a bite being taken out of you.
So, you know, I'll never forget, this has been, maybe 2 years ago, I'm not sure, but I was in Cape Girardeau and I was on an incline. And so all of a sudden, the truck driver in front of me, it was like a Big Mac truck, he started backing up in the middle of the highway. Now, guys, I'm behind him and he can't see me. And there's a car behind me coming up.
And you're caught in the middle.
I am caught in the middle, and there's nothing I can do. There's people beside me, too. There's no place I can go.
Oh, that's scary.
Yes, and it was. And so I just said, Jesus, Jesus. And I was going, honk, honk. And he didn't hear me because he had like earphones on or something. Or
Yeah.
So I was, obviously he kept coming and kept coming, and he smashed me. I mean, just smashed the front end of my car. And I mean, I was thanking God I was okay. And
right.
Poor guy too. He didn't see me, but it was his first day on the job.
It's probably good out of everybody he ran into you, because you probably went a lot nicer to him.
Right. So Jasmine, have you ever been caught in the middle? Tell me about it.
Oh my goodness. There was this one time I was on a flight to Nevada. So it's about a 5-hour flight from here, or St. Louis. And I get on it, and we're in like a 3-row seat, and I'm in the center. And I had requested a window seat, but of course I wasn't gonna, you know, switch it up and all that. So I get in my seat, and nobody else is around me at first. I'm like, all right, this is nice. Well, lo and behold, here come two people sitting on either side of me, and I was trying to make the best of it. I'm like, it's okay. You know, we all talked for a little bit. They were all super nice. I'd go ahead and put my headphones in. Well, they're dead. I was like, because I have AirPods and they're wireless. I was like, oh, well, that's nice. So I was like, well, it's okay. I'll just read. So I get my book out. Next thing I know, I have this lady on one side. I don't know if she was sick or what, but she's the whole flight. She's just hacking all over the place. I'm thinking, lady, like, come on. And she didn't get up once, it was awful. So then, of course, I'm like trying to lean away from her a little bit. But when I do that, then I got the guy behind me. He's, snoring the whole, and I kid you not, this was the entire flight. And I'm texting, I was flying actually with my friend and her mom. And I'm like kind of looking at her like, do you see what I'm dealing with here? I was caught in the middle. It was a long flight.
Well, so while you're listening to our little stories about being caught in the middle, I'm sure you can relate as well of something that happened to you, and you could not escape it. You were right in the middle. And it made me think of a woman in the Bible. And Jasmine, this is off the cuff. I mean, I'm going to ask her, do you remember the story of the lady that was caught in the very act of adultery? She was caught right in the middle.
Yeah.
And so what happened?
soldiers
How did
came.
Jesus handle it?
So they drag her from her home, literally,
Yes.
like, as she's caught in it, so she's, you know, who knows, like, what she's looking like,
Right.
brings her out to the middle of town, throws her in, and the Pharisees are about to stone her.
Yes.
So they are, like, they're ready to kill her because, I mean, according to Old Testament law, like, it was against the law what she was doing. And Jesus comes in, and he had been, you know, preaching around in that area, and the Pharisees are like, you know, what do you say, Jesus? Like, what would you do here? And he looks around, he doesn't say anything at first, and it's interesting because he just writes in the sand, and I would love to know what was he writing.
I know, and
like,
see, they put him in the middle of this.
They did, yeah.
They wanted to catch him in the middle, and they wanted to see, you know, what he would say. But
Exactly.
Jasmine, what did he say?
So after he's writing in the sand, and I mean, it's perfect. He looks at them and he says, "You who are without sin, cast the first stone." And I mean, everybody, I think the whole crowd is like, "Oh my!" Like he just said that because obviously none of us are blameless. And then one by one, they, you know, angrily dropped their stones and walked away, and Jesus spared her life.
That's right.
Yeah,
that's right. So now, Brian, you have an incredible testimony, a journey, and you know, you talked earlier, and it's like the cat with 9 lives. Your life has been spared many times, but you found yourself caught in the middle. And you know, being caught in the middle is a position between two sides. If you can see our picture back here, Brian, if you lean this way and you see that crevice, there you go. You can go back. So now when you see it, it's like Brian is caught in the middle, and you felt stuck, right? Mm-hmm. And so I know you've shared the first part, but I want to go right to when you had the brain tumor.
Oh, okay. I was 19 years old, and we were traveling around the country playing in a rock and roll band and doing a lot of drinking and drugging. And I was living a pretty rough life there. It should, you know. But anyway, to make a long story short, I woke up one day with a headache that wouldn't go away. So I got on a plane, flew back to my hometown, and went to a regular doctor, and they just told me it was a sinus infection. Don't worry about it. Well, 2 days later, I woke up, and what still had the headache just kept getting worse and worse. 2 days later, I woke up and I was blind in my right eye.
Oh wow!
So my mom sent me over to this ophthalmologist that was friends of the family, and he looked at my eyes and just said, "You got a bad problem." So he sent me over to the chief of neurosurgery at St. Louis University Hospital, and they ran some tests, and first thing you know, the doctor, after they ran all these tests, came up to my room and he asked me if I had a clergy, and I said no, because I wasn't a Christian at all. Matter of fact, about as far from as you can be a Christian, and you know. So anyway, I told him no, and the clergy came up to the room, and he read me the Catholic priest read me my last rites, and then the doctor came in after the priest left, and he told me, he said, "I don't believe in, you know, pulling any punches." He said, "Here's what your chances are. If you live, you're going to be paralyzed on your right side the rest of your life."
Wow.
Wow.
And so anyway, then I the next morning, actually, believe it or not, that night was the first night I slept in 2 weeks. It's just like this peace came over me. But anyway, next morning they took me down to run a test to see where the blockage was. And when they did that, they strapped me down on a table, and they put a brace on my chest and hold my chin back. Then they put a mouthpiece in my mouth so I wouldn't swallow or bite my tongue in half. And then they ran a wire, or a needle up my main jugular vein, and they ran a wire up through that. And then they would just hit this machine, and it shot this dye up through your brain to find out where the tumor was at. And I mean, the pain was just totally intensive from that. I mean, so hot and just instant sweat and the pain. And you know, they did it about 4 or 5 times, and I passed out, and they give me smelling sauce, wake me back up, and do it again. That went on for a while, and then after they found out where the blockage was, for sure, they shaved my head, which, you know, that really got me.
Because you had long hair at the time.
Yeah, it was about down to here, you know.
Wow.
Yeah, I was a little upset about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, from there, they took me directly into surgery. And then the first I know, they took a drill, they drill a hole in the top of your head to relieve the pressure. And then they take an electric saw and they saw the back, took the back side of my skull out.
Wow.
And that's when I heard that doctor say, because I mean, you're not.
So you were awake for all this?
Yeah,
okay.
you're not. You're numb. I mean,
right.
But he just said, this guy's really lucky. I can't believe this. But the tumor was the size of a walnut.
Wow.
But it wasn't deep into the brain like they thought it was. So.
But Brian, after this, you went down. You asked your brother to take you down to the chapel, right?
Yes.
And so he saw all these people that they didn't have a good prognosis, right?
Yeah, they were.
It was either die or go to the nursing home is what their prognosis was. And so God spared your life. Right. And when you felt peace, he wasn't serving God at the time, but I know God saw him where he's at right now. I mean, he is a worshiper. He plays. He's our guitar player, but God saw, when down the road, and he preserved your life for such a time as this. But so you felt like, why did you spare my life?
Yeah. Yeah, I asked him, why did you spare me and not any of these people upstairs? Because they were more worthy of being spared than I was. Yeah. Because I was pretty low life person at that time, with the drugs and the alcohol and everything. I wasn't worthy of what he did for me. That's for sure.
Well, Brian, you talked to me about that, how that your right side was paralyzed for weeks. Yeah. Now he's going to insert something, and I know it's funny in the midst of the serious conversation, but what would happen? He would jerk, right?
Yeah. When I started getting the feeling back, this went on for a couple of years. My right side, either my leg or my arm, it would just jerk. And being right-handed, and that's the side that was paralyzed, I would have a soda in my hand, for example, and so whoever's sitting on the other side of me would wear that soda.
Oh my! Okay. But tell him what happened. You were in a restaurant.
Yeah, I was in a Pizza Hut with my brother. Okay.
This is crazy.
I just been out of the hospital maybe 2 or 3 weeks, and we were getting a pizza, and at the time, you could smoke after in the restaurant. So I lit the cigarette. Anyway, kind of catty corner from where we were sitting on the right hand side was this guy with his wife, but this guy was like 6'5", about 300 pounds, no fat.
Wow. Muscle.
Ball-headed guy, right?
Okay.
Like he looked like
we got the picture.
He looked like Mr. Clean.
Okay. Yes.
So anyway, I lit the cigarette, and I can still picture this thing. And I took a drag off of it, and then my arm jerked, and I still see the cigarette kind of flipping in the air. Oh. And it landed perfect. Like if you put a pencil behind your ear.
Oh, no.
It landed perfect right behind his ear. I'm like, it's like 1,000,001 chance.
My goodness.
My goodness.
And anyway, it burnt him, and boy, he hopped up.
Wow.
He hopped up and spun around, and I'm sitting there going, huh?
So he was coming after you, but your brother just said, wait, I need to explain.
Yeah, my brother said, let me explain.
You got caught in the middle, and, but anyway, I wanted to say Psalms 35 and 10, when you surrendered your life to God after this, God totally just allowed you to see how much he loves you. But Psalms 35 and 10 says,
with every bone in my body, I will praise him. Lord, who can compare with you? Who else rescues the helpless from the strong? Who else protects the helpless and poor from those who rob them? So caught means to grab or seize, especially after a pursuit. And so that's what the Lord did. I mean, he rescued you on countless situations. I wanted to, real quick, I want to go into this last story. We know that, I've known you since you had a heart attack and it was 100% blocked, and you literally felt God pull in, because he was, how many seconds and you would have been dead. But he felt the hand of God touch his heart and rescued him. But I want to go back, because let me tell you something. The Lord he'll catch you. Yes. He catches us in the middle of our depression, our fear, our hurt, our adversity, our abandonment. That's right. Yeah. Betrayal, our trouble, turmoil, and all of our circumstances.
He will catch you in the middle
Yes.
of what you're going through. And Ephesians 2:14 says,
For he is our peace, who hath made both one, and hath broken down the middle wall of partition between us.
I want you to think about that. The middle wall of partition, it can be our will.
Right.
That middle wall can be our will. And he said, I'm going to break it down. You know, if we don't fall on that rock falls on us, and we can be ground to powder. In other words, then we're like looking up, God, please help me.
Yeah.
So what he's saying is he's going to break down that wall of partition that we build up before him. So again, so you found him breaking down that wall, right?
Mm-hmm.
You had to surrender your will. He didn't make you do that. But sometimes circumstances around us can put us in that position where we're looking up, right?
Yes.
Right.
Psalms 40:1-3 says,
I waited patiently for the Lord, and he inclined unto me and heard my cry. He brought me up also out of an horrible pit, out of the miry clay, and set my feet upon a rock, and established my goings. And he hath put a new song in my mouth, even praise unto our God. Many shall see it and fear, and shall trust in the Lord.
So Brian, I want you to tell us in a couple minutes how that God, you know, when you crumbled in his presence, what took you to that place? And this was happened. It was an overdose, an accidental overdose, right?
Right.
So I want you to tell us what happened at that time when you felt yourself crumbling in his presence. He had a literal visitation
Yes.
from Jesus.
Yeah, I was ODing, and anyway, I ended up, before I was, you know, I kept getting higher and higher and higher. I smoked some pot with my brother-in-law, and it was laced with something. And anyway, normally you could drink some milk, you know, and coat your stomach, and it bring you down, you know, to where you can manage whatever. It didn't work. I mean, I bet I drank, you know, a good half gallon of milk, and nothing was working. So I decided, whatever I could figure out to do to relax and just kind of ride this thing out. So I ran this hot bath, you know, which I don't know why I did it, but anyway, I did. And I lit candles in the bathroom, you know, just for ambience, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, I got into the tub, and all of a sudden I was paralyzed from the neck down.
Wow.
I couldn't move my arms, couldn't move my legs.
Wow.
And no matter how hard I tried, I couldn't move.
So you were drowning.
I was drowning, yeah. So I started sliding down in the tub, and the water got all the way around my nose.
Oh.
And that's when the door opened. And he came in. The first thing I know, I was standing on my feet,
Wow.
looking at him face to face. And it's, you know, I'm sure it was just seconds, but it seemed like minutes.
Yes.
Oh.
You know, and he told me he loved me. And then he turned around and walked out the door. And then when he walked out the door, he closed the door behind him. And for the longest time, I said, what did that mean? What did that mean? Well, then it dawned on me. When he came in, he pulled me out of that water. He opened the door to a new life.
Yes.
And he closed the door to the old.
Yes.
Because Brian, he could have walked through the wall. I mean, you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a significance behind that.
That's right.
Absolutely.
So he had to close the door behind him, and and you know what? You crumbled in his presence, and there was a change after that, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah.
And
That
so
was it.
he caught you in the middle, right? He caught you in the middle of your mess, in the middle of the bathtub.
Yes.
Right.
He caught you. He sees you. He grabbed you, and he catches us in the middle. And you know what is that, Jasmine? When
It's just when we're caught, we're so seized by his love.
we're seized by his love, and that's what you felt, so loved by him.
Right.
And he rescued you. And I mean, it's just such a powerful story. And so now you are worshiping.
Yes.
Look, he loves to worship, you know, and he will spend hours in dedication of worship and practice, you know, for the service Sunday morning.
Yep.
And so, Brian, I want you, you know, you may be in the middle of your mess. You may be in the middle of some stuff going on. You may be in the middle of a circumstance that you're like, how can I get out of here? But he's going to seize you. He's going to grab you and catch you in the middle. And so, Brian, I want you to pray, if you would. Pray for those listening, because you know what it's like to be caught and where you are between two places, a rock and a hard place, you know, but God rescued you. He grabbed you out of that place. So would you lead us in prayer?
Okay. Heavenly Father, we just come to you and give you thanks for all, and give you all the praise and glory. And God, we just pray today, Lord, for those who might be stuck in the middle, that don't know which way to turn. Lord, we just pray that you put your hand upon them, give them guidance,
Yes.
give them wisdom and
Yes.
courage to make the right decision and follow you. Because once they follow you, everything else falls in line. And I just want to thank you so much for that, for what you've done for me and what you're doing for other people. God, you're the greatest there is. So anyway, thank you and love everybody. God bless. Amen.
In Jesus' name. Amen. Well, thank you for joining us today. We hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. If I can get it out. Have a great day, you guys. We love you. Bye-bye.
Bye.